Honourable members, in accordance with Council Rule 2471, there will be no notice of motion or motion without notice, except, of course, the motions on the order paper. Yes, Honourable Member.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chair, thank you very much for that comment and also for your opening remarks regarding the Springboks and Mr. Gwala. Chair, I think that the absence of motions from our order paper for quite some time has not allowed us to make statements like this in the normal course. And whilst I acknowledge that we have congratulated the Springboks as a group, I would like to propose that this House takes a resolution to formally congratulate the Springboks on their win, not only of England, but winning the World Cup. And I think our House should document something and send something to them because of the unifying effect that has come about as a result of this victory, and the fact that social cohesion and nation building has taken a giant leap forward because of their victory. I think it needs to be acknowledged formally and in writing, Chair.
Okay. Let's have Makaus and Koia.
Listen, thank you so much. I think you have done so. You have actually congratulated the Springboks. I don't understand why we should give it so much attention. Nothing has changed today in South Africa. The landless remain landless and jobless remain joblessness. So we cannot delay the proceedings of the House with a motion that you have already passed in the House. Can we proceed?
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. I rise to also recommend that the House also acknowledges the senseless service and dedication to the cause of the people of South Africa of the late MEC for Social Development in Gauteng, who passed on Friday. I think we also need to acknowledge her and observe a moment of silence as well for her. Thank you very much, Chair.
Honourable members, we are making my work a bit difficult. Why don't we, as this House, first and foremost, just acknowledge all people who've since passed on and have that recorded as part of the minutes of this sitting. So that we're basically saying we're acknowledging all of these important people, including the relevant MEC from Gauteng, and any other prominent person that has not been mentioned in the House, and then move on. Yes, Tim, before we come to the Chief Whip.
Chair, I thank you for that, Chair, I really do. Chair, I just want to remind the House, with the greatest respect, is that the parliamentary tradition of the motion without notice, if it is accepted by the House, results in a letter, a formal letter, a nice courteous letter, being sent to a family who's lost a loved one, a young sporting team that have done well, whatever the matter may be. And us not having motions without notice in the House deprives us, Chair, of the ability to send the appropriate letter to those in times of celebration, but also in times of bereavement. And I can assure you, Chair, that when members of our community receive those letters from this august House, it is greatly valued. It is often framed and put on a wall. And I'm just saying, Chair, as colleagues here, this is an opportunity for us to express our condolences in a formal manner, but also to express our congratulations. And that is all we're asking for as my colleagues. And It can be to Honorable Nglozi when he receives his doctorate, for instance. My point is, it can be for anybody. Brenda, relax. It can be for anybody who this House deems requires special note. And I'm just asking and pleading for sanity in that regard, Chair. Thank you.
If you still want to speak.
Can we be advised by the Secretary?
Thanks, Chair. Well, Chair, we do not have a problem if the presiding officers lead us from the front on condolences. That's an established practice that we do not even discuss such. We rise in honor of the departed. But as for the matters that are on the order paper, we do recognize the sterling performance of the Springboks, and as such will accordingly schedule a necessary, even if it's a snap debate by members of the House, appropriately, so that we fully deal with all the matters that it relates to. So for now, I'll request us to focus on the matters as appearing on the order paper, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, honorable members. We'll proceed with that kind of understanding, that the issues will be noted and will be communicated accordingly. We will now move over to the first motion on the order paper as printed in the name of the Chief Whip.
Thanks very much, Chairperson. I move that notwithstanding Rule 247, subsection 1, which provides that the sitting of the Council will be dedicated for oral questions, the Council consider the motion below. 1, that the Council, with the concurrence of the National Assembly, in terms of Section 14, subsection 1 of the Financial Management of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act of 2009, determines the date by which accounting officer must prepare and present to the Executive Authority a draft strategic plan for Parliament administration as 27 February 2020. That's the first one. The second one, Chair, can I proceed?
Yes, one by one. Okay.
The second one is that
why don't we deal with them one at a time? Okay.
Yeah, we just establish a date by when you must account next year as presiding officers.
We should proceed.
I so move, Chair, that the House accepts the first motion as proposed.
Thank you very much. Yep. We agreed. Before we move on, yes.
Point of order. Yeah, Chair, it is very confusing if we don't follow the rules. Normally, if a motion is on the order paper and you put it before the House, we vote per province and say we agree. And then we go on to the next motion. Can we just follow procedures? Otherwise, it's confusing. Thank you.
No, maybe even before we proceed, just to welcome the ministers. Thank you very much for being with us today. I shall now put the question that the motion be agreed to. As the decision is dealt with in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution, I shall first ascertain whether all delegation heads are present in the chamber to cast their provincial votes. Are all the delegation present? Yes. Thank you very much. In accordance with Rule 771, I shall first allow provinces the opportunity to make their declaration of votes if they so wish. Any province wishing to make a declaration? None. Thank you very much. Very much. We shall now proceed to the manual voting on the question. I shall do this in alphabetical order per province. We'll start with the Eastern Cape. Eastern Cape.
Eastern Cape yayiqhasa.
Eastern Cape agrees. Free State.
Ke a leboha modulasetulo wa Free State ya e amohela.
Free State ya amohela. Gauteng.
Gauteng supports.
Gauteng supports. KwaZulu-Natal.
KwaZulu-Natal iyayiseka.
Iseka. KwaZulu-Natal. Limpopo.
Limpopo supports.
Limpopo agrees. Mpumalanga.
Mpumalanga support.
Mpumalanga supports. Northern Cape.
Northern Cape supports, Chair.
Northern Cape supports. Western Cape.
Chair, Northwest.
Now, before we go to Northwestern Cape, Northwest.
Don't come with the thing.
Yes. Landsman, yeah.
Say Northwest, Chair. Call the province.
Can we please have Landsman on behalf of Northwest indicating how the province is voting?
Not from Western Cape, from Northwest, Chair. I support STEM SAM.
Agreed. Stem Sam, Western Cape.
Die Weskaap ondersteun.
I couldn't hear that. Understand.
The Western Cape supports.
Support, Western Cape supports. Thank you very much. Having all heads of delegation voting and having done that task, the voting is now closed. And can I say, because all 9 provinces voted in favor, I therefore declare the motion agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Able? Thank you very much. Let's move to the second motion by the Chief Whip.
Thanks, Chairperson. That the Council knows that in the 5th Parliament, the National Council of Provinces and National Assembly established the South African chapter of the Global TB Caucus on the 4th September 2018. Further knows that the South African chapter of the Global TB Caucus is intended, among others, to raise awareness and profile the TB epidemic and support efforts to accelerate the elimination of the disease by 2030.
Now, I want to ask you, Chief Whip, to do them one after another.
Yes, that is the case.
Let's start with the second motion.
The first one was accepted, Chair. So I'm now on the TB caucus. No, it was. Provinces voted.
That's the table that can do that thing. Now, please don't subject us to these things.
Can you please go through the... Motion is the strategic plan of Parliament. The third motion is on the TB question.
Thank you very much, Chair. So I proceed with the third motion. The strategic plan I read to the House and it was voted for. And I suggest, Chair, that the table staff should honestly just confer the report of the House as is, because these motions are before members. In fact, I should not even be reading this motion. I should move that the House approves the motions as tabled on the other paper. Yes. And I so move, Chair. Thanks.
Yeah, no. We have three motions, honorable members. And I'll try to manage these issues the way I think they ought to. The motion agreed to is the first motion, Chief Whip. The second motion is a motion on the strategic plan for Parliament. So this is accordingly tabled. And this being the case, I shall now put the question. The question is that the motion be agreed to. Yes.
With which order on the order paper are we busy? Is it order number 2?
Order number 2 now.
Well, that is not the TB order, sir. That's the financial order, according to the order paper.
Yes, the strategic plan of Parliament.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. In accordance with Rules 71, I shall now first allow provinces an opportunity to make their declaration of the vote if they so wish. Any province wishing to make a declaration? None. We shall now proceed to manual voting on the question, and we shall do so in an alphabetical order per province. I now call on the provinces to indicate their vote. Eastern Cape. Eastern Cape, Xasa. Free State.
Free State support, Chair.
Free State supports. Gauteng.
Gauteng supports.
Gauteng supports. KwaZulu-Natal.
Zulu-Natal iyayeseka.
Yes, Xasa, Limpopo.
Limpopo support.
Limpopo supports. Mpumalanga.
Mpumalanga support.
Northern Cape.
Northern Cape supports.
Northern Cape supports. Northwest.
Thank you, Chair. Stem Sam.
Stem Sam.
Western Cape supports. Western Cape supports.
Thank you very much. Having had all the provinces voting in favor, I therefore declare the motion agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Thank you very much. We shall now proceed to the third motion on the order paper, as printed in the name of the Chief Whip.
I move that the Council knows that in the 5th Parliament, the NCOP and the NA established the South African chapter of the Global TB Caucus on the 4th September 2018. Further knows that the South African chapter of the Global TB Caucus is intended, among others, to A, raise awareness and profile the TB epidemic, and supports efforts to accelerate the elimination of the disease by 2030 in line with the target set by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. B, provide a platform to members of Parliament and members of provincial legislatures to champion the response to TB in the country and in their constituencies and drive political action to end the disease. Acknowledges that membership of the South African TB Caucus is on a non-partisan basis, open to any parliamentarian and or a legislature in South Africa, and is undertaken on completely voluntary basis, and resolves to establish, with the concurrence of the National Assembly, a joint committee in terms of the Joint Rule 142 to be the coordinating body for the duration of the 6th Parliament of the South African chapter of the Global TB Caucus, the Joint Committee to consist of 11 members of the National Assembly and 9 members of the National Council of Provinces, be co-chaired by chairpersons of portfolio committees on health in the National Assembly and the chairperson of the select committees on health and social services in the National Council of Provinces. Included in the above composition and exercise those powers in joint rule that may assist in carrying out the task. I move that the House accept the establishment of the joint committees, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you very much. As there is no speakers list, I shall now put the question. The question is that the motion be agreed to. In accordance with Rule 71, I shall first allow provinces the opportunity to make the declaration of vote if they so wish. Are there any provinces that wish to make a declaration? Provinces? None? Thank you very much. In accordance with Rule 71, I shall now first allow provinces the opportunity to make their declaration of vote if they so wish. So none. We shall now proceed to the manual voting on the question, and I shall do this in alphabetical order per province. I now call on the province to indicate their vote. We'll start with the Eastern Cape.
Sayikasa.
Cape, Kasa. Free State.
Free State re amuhela, Honorable Chair.
State agrees. Gauteng.
Gauteng is in support.
KwaZulu-Natal.
KwaZulu-Natal iyayiseka.
Limpopo.
Impopo ya amorela.
Amuela Mpumalanga.
Mpumalanga support.
Support. Northern Cape.
Northern Cape supports, Chair.
Northwest.
Support, Chair.
Western Cape.
Western Cape support.
Cape supports. Thank you very much. Clearly, as you can see, all the 10 provinces have voted, and they voted in favor of the motion. I therefore now declare the motion agreed to in terms of Section 65 of the Constitution. Having welcomed the ministers earlier on, we will now proceed. But before I do so, I would like to make the following remarks. We are now looking at the question of questions. The time for reply by the minister to a question is 5 minutes. Only 4 supplementary questions are allowed per question. A member who has asked the initial question will be the first to be afforded an opportunity to ask a supplementary question. As members know, the time for asking supplementary question is 2 minutes. The time for reply to a supplementary question is 4 minutes. The supplementary question must emanate from the initial question, as members know. So we'll proceed to the questions. The first question is question 215 the first question is question 215 from Honorable T.B. Matibe, and the question is on financial viability at the SABC, and the question is directed to the Minister of Communication. Yeah.
Chairperson, before you mahlweni anlata ko ikombela ti minister ku va hlamula va email aka podium because na challenge ya ku ka hi nga voni kahle na ku ka hi nga va twi kahle. So a hi kombela ku va hlamula va ri email aka podium liya na kense.
Just repeat the question again. Please. No, thank you very much. Minister, the request is that you come to the podium.
Thank you, House Chair and honorable members. Good afternoon. Allow me, with your permission, before I get into the response of question 215, to wish Honorable Zuki Ncita a happy birthday today, Chairperson. As I respond to the question that was raised by Honorable Matibe, the department did seek the services of the GTEC, which is the Government Technical Advisory Center, to assist the SABC in developing a turnaround strategy. And as part of that turnaround strategy, what we ensured was to make sure that the turnaround strategy talks to the financial sustainability of SABC, doing away with unnecessary costs, but most importantly, making sure that SABC will become the best choice of a public broadcaster. And the strategic plan, the turnaround plan, was approved by the SABC board in September 2019. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Matibe. Is there a follow-up?
Well, of course, the ministers in the economic cluster still continuing to face members of the National Council of Provinces to respond to questions about a number of issues, whether they range from land expropriation to plans to combat festive season road deaths. All of that, of course, coming to the fore. We are, of course, joined there by the Minister of Telecommunications there, Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams there as well. We'll continue to take this coverage live, but to our SABC3 viewers, thank you so much for watching. We head on over to 404, of course, where we continue to give you live coverage from Parliament. From me, Arabile Kumete, that's where the buck stops to our SABC3 viewers.